This week, our Advocacy Day is all about special education. So Diana, what's up for the bills this week?
Well, as far as education goes for children with developmental disabilities, we have three separate pieces to it. We have the early learning, which is birth to 3 education and services. And then when they start into K-12, then we have the special education services that kick in. And as they go through high school, then they start going through transition services to help them leave high school with services in employment, so they don't just graduate to the couch. So we have several bills. Some of them have died in the process. Now, the one that has kept going is Senate Bill 5091. And in our state, we have a cap on how many students school districts can get paid for. And our cap is at 13.5%. So even if you got 15% of your students in special ed, you only can get money for 13.5 of them. So there are other policy bills as well that are still going through the process. And one of the things is that today is it's the last deadline for a bill to make it out of its house of origin.
And here's what advocates are saying today.
We're concerned about the quality of special education services, the outcomes our kids are getting. We're also concerned about the ongoing gaps in special education funding. So they are talking about increasing special education funding, which is great, but it's not clear they're talking about the amounts that are needed. What we've been hearing from districts is that there's about a $300–400 million gap, and what we're hearing from legislators is that they're looking to invest about maybe $40–42 million a year. So we're really concerned about the discrepancy with that. We're also concerned that no one's really talking about the cap. Special education is limited, the funding is limited. You only are funded up to a certain amount of percentage of your student body. So we're concerned that nobody's talking about that. This really hurts rural school districts, it hurts charter school districts, it hurts anybody that has a higher than normal special education student body.
I drove over here from Spokane, Washington on a bus full of advocates because we need better special education funding for our school district. There are many other states that do a better job of special education funding, and we need to improve ours because our graduation rates are low statewide for students that have special needs. My daughter is one of those, and I really want her to meet her full potential. Additionally, part of special education funding is really teaching or giving the education and training to all teachers, general ed and special education, to really help have more inclusive classrooms. I think this will also help to decrease our suspension rates for students with disabilities and the arrest rates for students with disabilities, which are disproportionately high.
Washington State is behind the times on inclusive classrooms, and without inclusion in the classrooms, we're teaching our future leaders and community members to be benevolent segregators. We also need to teach teachers and paraeducators how to educate along the intellectual spectrum to provide greater challenge for kids who need it or more support for those who don't. So inclusion in the classroom doesn't happen without training.
Department of Vocational Rehabilitation Services is really critical to our success for the members of Community Employment Alliance. They're asking this year for an additional $2 million out of the general fund state budget to make sure that 428 folks who are considered to be most significantly disabled receive uninterrupted services over the next biennium. And their funding is really critical to us because we see a jump from about $328 a month people earn before they receive DVR services up to over $1,400 a month after they're receiving DVR services. That's a big jump for people, and that makes a really big impact on people's lives.
Well, we're here today to talk to legislators and anyone who will listen around streamlining funding for early intervention services. So we know that services to infants and toddlers, birth to 3, If we can get to those children while their brain is developing, they'll have lifelong benefits from early intervention services. So what we're going to talk about today is streamlining the funding through the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. So that's why I'm here today.
Visit arcwa.org to get the latest information about the status of the bills, and if your bill's still moving, make sure you contact your legislators to let them know what it is you want. And remember,